Shaquille O'Neal has now disrespected how many NBA players? Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we'll be talking about the beef between Shaq and a number of other former and current NBA players that have stepped up to get into an argument with one of the most dominant big men to ever play the game. And let me tell you, getting into an altercation with Shaq isn't always the smartest thing to do. He does everything in his power to drag your name in the mud, and some of these beefs simply went too far. Just like the first one with a current NBA veteran who has won a few championships himself. JaVale McGee was arguably the most disrespected by Shaquille O'Neal. The drama between the two players more than likely began during the series Shaq'd a Fool, where McGee was being constantly placed because of dumb plays and decisions during games. Shaq and the rest of the crew would consistently make fun of JaVale for these plays and turned him into their personal punching bag, which McGee obviously wasn't a fan of. Not only that, but when McGee joined the Golden State Warriors and started to play the best basketball games of his career, Shaq and them didn't say much. However, the second he messed up, they placed him right back on the show to laugh at his mental errors. JaVale was sick and tired of it by now, hopping onto Twitter and ripping Shaq up for placing him on his little TV segment. Shaq actually gave a heavy response back to JaVale, and the two went back and forth as if they were going to meet up and have a fist fight with one another. Funny enough, Shaq actually took the time out of his day to Photoshop JaVale's face onto a literal homeless person. By this point, it was just getting too far for both of them. One of JaVale's teammates, Kevin Durant, stepped in shortly after. He talked about how he understands Shaq works for a company that wants him to make fun of players, but he shouldn't have threatened McGee because he disagreed with him. He also went on to say how talented of a player that McGee truly is, and that he simply wants to be respected just like everybody else.
He only wants to be respected just like anybody else, and I understand that Shaq works for a company that wants him to do that type of stuff.
Then Shaq's mother stepped in and told Shaq personally to stop the attacks between all of them. Shaq said on air that he didn't believe the situation was getting out of hand, but also said that he'll no longer bring up the argument anymore and that it is over and done with from now on. Unlike this disagreement between him and a certain player on the Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert has been under fire quite a bit from the former Los Angeles Lakers big man. The hatred towards one another most likely started a few years back when Gobert cried during an interview when he found out that he wasn't going to be making it into the All-Star game that year. Shaq was recorded saying that Rudy needs to stop crying because there is no crying in basketball, and that he needs to put some icy hot on his face. While Rudy never responded, it was clear that he saw the video.
He was crying?
Yeah, he teared up when the media asked him about his All-Star stuff.
Oh, there's no crying in basketball. There is no crying in basketball, Rudy. Man up.
I love that.
Get some icy hot on your face, Rudy.
Shaq didn't like that there was never a response, though, and he took yet another shot about a year later when he made an appearance on a podcast. One of the biggest topics during that podcast was the recent news of Gobert's new contract extension, which will see him get paid a whopping $205 million over the next few years. Shaq said that his new contract should be an inspiration to any kid out there that wants to make it into the NBA. He said that if you average just 11 points, then you'll be able to receive $200 million. And while he may have been correct with that, Gobert definitely does more than just score the basketball. But Shaq wasn't done. He photoshopped a picture of him dunking on Gobert, even though the two never once played against one another. Shaq placed a comment under that posted photo saying that he would have dropped 45 points, 16 rebounds, and 10 missed free throws in just 3 quarters. Also mentioning that Gobert would have fouled out in that same amount of time with just 11 points and 4 rebounds. Rudy attempted to respond to Shaq's picture, saying that there was no beef and he was simply beating the odds, though his tweets didn't get the type of national attention that Shaq's tweets were getting.
If 11 points get you 200 million, 38 points will get you 600 million, right?
I told you if I played today, I'd be going to the games in a spaceship.
But none of those beefs were even close to the one that Shaq held with Dwight Howard. The two were just so similar that they were bound to have weird feelings for one another. Each of them was initially drafted to the Orlando Magic, but then took their talents over to the Los Angeles Lakers, where they were both nicknamed Superman. If you know Shaq, then you know that he takes everything personally, so he believed that Dwight just wanted to replace Shaq, so he was choosing to copy everything he did. Dwight even had numbers on the Lakers that were unlike anything in the league at the time, and yet Shaq never gave him even a little credit. Charles Barkley made a case that he is by far the best big man in the league at the time, but Shaq claimed that Howard only has 1 or 2 moves and wasn't the best. Fast forward to just last year when Howard re-signed with the Lakers after a dominant time there earlier in his career, and some reporters caught up to Shaq to ask his feelings over the new signing. Shaq had a simple but effective response to the matter, just asking, "Who?" Then said that he doesn't even know who Dwight Howard is and has never heard of him. It was getting so bad between the two that Shaq was finding new and improved ways to hit at Howard, even when the current situation had nothing to do with him at all. He was bringing his name up to make fun of him regardless of what was happening, including when Howard won the NBA championship with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and that Lakers team. Dwight was overwhelmed with emotions after the team won, posting an emotional video of him holding the trophy while also posting numerous videos on his Instagram about the situation and his happiness. But Shaq was the complete opposite. He said that he believes no man should post that many videos or pictures when they weren't even that important to the team in the first place. He said to just post one picture and move on, and that Howard didn't even do anything but ride on the talent of the team. It's safe to say that things were getting pretty bad between the two, and I'm sure it will continue for quite some time before the hatchet gets buried. Now, the beef between Scottie Pippen and Shaq proved that it didn't matter who you are. If you crossed paths with Shaq, he was going to tear you down. The funny thing is, Scottie didn't even say anything that bad to him, and Shaq took it to a whole different level. It all started when Shaq went to Instagram to post a picture of the best 5 Lakers players in team history in a starting lineup, with the best 5 in history for the Chicago Bulls in a different lineup. In the caption, he asked which team would win if the teams had played one another in their primes, and Shaq followed that up by saying the Lakers would have beat them by 50 points. Pippen couldn't let that subtle shot go unnoticed and followed up by posting a picture of him and Michael Jordan together with the caption, "Sorry Shaq, but I don't get caught up in hypotheticals. All I know is we won 6 titles, twice the amount you claimed while in LA." Knowing how petty Shaq was, he took his anger out on the Dan Patrick Show, calling out Pippen and saying that he wasn't the one that started it because he never called him out personally. He also said he doesn't let bums disrespect him like Pippen, and the two went back and forth. Shaq still wasn't done after that huge rant. He took to Instagram to post a photoshopped picture of Michael Jordan's face on Pippen's body and the exact same pic that Pippen posted to his own Instagram account. Then he took to the caption to say that he was the Batman to Pippen's Robin, and that even Steve Kerr and Ron Harper deserve more credit for the Bulls' 6 championship rings than he does. Scottie couldn't let it end like that though, and posted one final picture to settle the beef once and for all. It was a picture of him showcasing all 6 of his championship rings with the caption, "Game over, Shaq. All that's ever mattered to me is winning, and we did plenty of that in Chicago." Shaq didn't want it to end though, and couldn't let him get the last word, so he posted a pic on Instagram right back. It was another photoshopped pic, but this time it had Scottie's face on the top of a fiddle with the caption, "The great Michael Jordan got you 6 rings, but you will always be remembered as Mr. Second Fiddle, second behind him and second behind me. Game ain't over till I say so. Stay in your place." It was clear that Shaq was done with all the back and forth and chose to end Pippen once and for all because Pippen chose not to agree with Shaq's original Instagram post about the best Lakers and the best Bulls of all time. See, nobody is ever safe around Shaq, regardless of how talented of a player you are, or whether or not you are a current player, a former player, or even a famous celebrity. If you disrespect Shaq, he will do everything in his power to tear you down with subtle jabs and light comments here and there to try and get under your skin. I know that I would definitely never want to get into a beef with him. Not only is he a gigantic human being, but he also has the resume to back up some of the things that he says, so arguing with him just puts you at a disadvantage. I can only imagine the players that he disrespects in the future who eventually clap back at him. It will make for a fun headline. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Tune into the video that appears on your screen for more amazing content.